Hi, my name is Camille Canales and I'm the director and an instructor with the Textile Department at Lillstreet Art Center. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the process of screen printing onto fabric. Before we begin, I want to run through a few steps we did ahead of time before we jump into the fun and messy steps with our inks and fabrics. I've prepared the image you see here using a regular laser printer from our desktop computer. This fancy piece of equipment is our pride and joy in the Textile Department. It's basically a really expensive tanning bed for artists, a vacuum UV exposure unit. The tanning bed is going to cook the screen with our image utilizing the photo emulsion process. After the screen is done exposing, we quickly want to rinse away the uncooked portions of our screen where our image appears when water is sprayed over the emulsion. The areas of our design need to be open so that we can push inks through the mesh onto our fabric. So before we get our screen out and our inks and all of our messy things, we want to lay down all of our product, and we have tote bags right here. And our tote bags are two-sided. Fabric is porous, so if we were to put ink through them, ink would go through to the back side. So anything that's really thin, like a thin t-shirt or a tote bag, you want to put something in between so that the ink won't go through on the back. So I have some recycled newspaper that I'm going to slide in here. And you want to make sure that the paper is covering the entire area of your design. So if you had an image that was larger than 8.5 by 11, you maybe want to stagger a few pieces of newsprint like I'm doing right here. So it's nice and smooth, and then you're ready to put in the T-pins. Once you're done exposing your screen, one of the things you want to do is hold it up to the light, and you want to make sure that light is shining through everything that you want to be your printed image. So because the emulsion doesn't go all the way to the edge, we need to mask it off with either masking tape, or in our studio, we prefer to use clear contact paper. It's reusable, and you can see through it, and it doesn't leave a icky residue like masking tape does. So now we're ready for the fun part. We're gonna start screen printing onto our tote bag. So I have all of my tools, or in classes, I like to think about it like a recipe. I have all my ingredients. So I have a squeegee, and a squeegee is what you use to pull the ink from top to bottom. I have a spatula, so this is just a regular spatula like if you were cooking, and that's to grab the ink out from the jar. We have water-based eco-friendly inks. They're water soluble, but that doesn't mean you can mix water with them, but they're really great and easy for cleaning. And I have some newsprint underneath so I can keep all of my bags clean and all my messy stuff on top of the newsprint. And then I have my screen that has a contact paper like I showed you all earlier. Let's imagine that there's ink on the top. I'm going to hold my frame down, because if I don't hold it and I do a pull, my screen will move, I'll get a blurry image, and I'll have to start all over again. So I'm holding this really tight and flexing my bicep, and that force has to travel all the way down my arm to my fingers and be evenly distributed along this edge. So I'm going to hold this squeegee, flexing my bicep, on top of a pool of ink, and I'm going to pull from top to bottom, making my screen sing. Like so. So if you're pushing at just the right pressure, your screen is singing. If you're not pushing hard enough, it doesn't make as much of a sound. And if you make it shriek, you're pushing too hard and maybe pushing too much ink in, or potentially moving your screen because you're pushing too hard. So let's put some of this ink in. And I talk about inks in class being either a yogurt or a DQ Blizzard consistency. Since we're printing onto darker fabrics, we're using the DQ consistency. You know, sometimes you like hold it upside down and the ink barely moves. We need this ink to be nice and thick so that the white will show up on the dark fabric. So I'm gonna be really generous and place a fair amount of ink onto my screen. So now I have the squeegee, I'm flexing my bicep. I'm gonna wet my squeegee, hold it at a 45-degree angle, and do a pull, making my screen sing. Now I'm going to go through again by scooping up some of my ink, putting it up at the top, and I'm going to go 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and then my signature move, a clean pull. So I'm scraping all of this excess ink off of my squeegee, and I'm not going to add any new ink, but I am going to clean up the streaks. Clean, pull, scrape, clean, pull, scrape, clean, pull, scrape, scrape the ink off. Set this down on my messy station. I'm going to hinge and lift, and I've got my tote bag design. Hinge, lift, here we go. Do a little bit of flooding, and one, gonna go down to 2 since I did a flood. Scraping it, clean, pull, scrape, clean, pull, scrape, clean, pull, scrape, hinge, lift, and then we have our designs on our tote bags.